So you want to go ahead and give me your checklist?
So my roommate's not here, so if you do hear any background noise, please immediately tell me.
Be concerned.
That'd be very concerned. I am by myself, but per usual, is your no roommates or anything of sorts?
And every time you say that, I gotta double check and make sure my door is locked.
Just okay, awesome. Have you checked your mail today?
No, I didn't check my mail. There's no mail in the new world.
Don't open up any miscellaneous packages if the doorbell does ring.
I pray it doesn't. I pray it doesn't.
Did your firecrackers go off for the day yet?
I'm in Georgia.
Are you familiar with that? That's like a salute thing. Like that has something to do with what's going on. It's like firecrackers every day.
That and Juneteenth.
Well, fuck them. Fuck America.
I'm not even mad at you. All right, so welcome to Brothers Sip and Talk Shit. We discuss all things horror and foreign. I'm T, and today I actually brought a list of black survivors in horror movies.
Man, you think this stuff through too much sometimes. I'm V, and I would say I most definitely have seen more horror films as we're starting to watch these because subconsciously they are buried deep. And today is one of those films.
You seen
Today
it?
is one of those films. I think I've seen like clips of some sort.
Images of it?
You know, I was like, if we run that intro back, I am winded on those push-ups.
No. You don't pay for that,
winded,
bro.
bro.
Nah, you did all that to get that.
I did a couple push-ups to like get the blood flow before we started, and I am like winded. Oh.
Nah. You need to eat those,
sorry.
brother. You need to eat those. You asked for it.
I couldn't even think. Can't even think. Oxygen levels so low. I think before we dive into it, real quick, we've done it. We did it. 12 episodes. That's 12 weeks. That's a business quarter. We're like this close to being a failing business. All we got to do is come just below like operating income, and we're just like every other business in this country. So
sounds like America.
That's dope.
I'm with it. And
so
part of this is us playing around with new stuff. So we're over here experimenting with video.
Oh yeah,
which
we've
may or
gotten
may
some
not
feedback
go up.
from. We have our number one fan, Yurigo. Our number two fan is my teen angst, and then we have maybe like 3 other people that spent 45 minutes listening to this while they were walking their dog because they're our friends, and they've given us a few morsels of feedback. So
yeah, definitely
trying some new stuff, keeping limber, mixed martial arts up in here. You got to keep pulling. You know what I'm saying? It takes all 4 elements to be a master. Never forget that. Avatar rules.
That's what they say.
Got a freestyle right now.
So the film we bring to you today, of course, it is a horror week. Bring you all things horror and foreign. And today we are starting off with Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night, 1995 film that actually was filmed on the hiatus between the 1994 and 1996 seasons of Tales from the Crypt. Very popular show that ran from 1989 to 1996, primarily on HBO. It was full with plenty of gore, titties, and everything because that's what HBO did back then. And it was a pretty dope show, if you ask me. Along the lines of your anthologies like Outer Limits and, of course, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side, etc., etc., etc. This film was part of what was supposed to be a trilogy, was supposed to be the second film. They never filmed the first film, and then at the end of the first film, they give you a stinger for the second film, which was supposed to be the first film that never came out. So that's a lot in there. It's a shit ton, but I have to say how important it is.
Now that you mention it, I see why the movie ended that way. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. When the Crypt Keeper comes out and talks about the Dead Easy or whatever he's talking about was supposed to be the third movie. The first one was supposed to be named Body Count, and it never made it. This film has an interesting history. It went through a whole bunch of directors' hands. The 2 most notable hands that it went through was Mary Lambert, who did Pet Sematary. And originally, she wanted to change the main male character to a black character because she felt that it should portray that the oppressed people on Earth are the ones who saved it. That didn't make it to the film, but it was also going to be directed by Tom Holland, not the one who plays Spider-Man, but the one who did Child's Play. So it's crazy that two really, really well-known horror filmmakers were going to do this film and they didn't do it. Who ended up doing it, though, which is even bigger than everything else, is going to be a gentleman by the name of Ernest Dickerson, who is a cinematographer who works a lot with Spike Lee, primarily on films like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, and he directed Juice. So shout out to a black director in 1995 holding down on a mainstream film.
Can I just get this off my chest real quick?
Go ahead.
You got the juice now.
You gotta look right into the camera when you do it, though. You can't
Jose, listen. You gotta look like you gotta get in character.
Yo. You got the juice now, man.
See, that's better. They look a little bit much. You don't look as hurt, but
yeah, that was one of the greatest lines, one-liners of all cinema history.
So great, very cool film. And what they ended up doing, they originally were gonna have the film under budget. Now, keep in mind it's called Demon Night, and the demons were originally supposed to look like a whole bunch of guys, almost like Men in Black yuppies. And they saw how corny it was gonna be, and they were like, "We'll give you the money to make demons. Please don't put it out like that." And then we got demons in it. So it's very interesting that all in all, it is a film about Breaker. He's a gentleman who actually has a carpenter's blood, who is insinuated to be Jesus's blood in a bottle that is a key that holds the ability to keep evil from basically taking over the world. The blood, the vial periodically gets filled with whoever this key gets handled down to. So it's a mix of Jesus' blood and like 3 other people. By the time it gets to Breaker, and he's actually on the night when is the most dangerous night. Evil can steal the key and it could open back up for darkness. He ends up hunkered down in an old hotel and is chased by one of the big demons called the Collector. The Collector, played by Billy Zane. And
hold up, I'm stopping you right there. Phenomenal. Best actor in the film. I don't know how he did it. It took me 45 minutes to realize that's the Phantom.
Yeah.
And he also looks a lot like Pete Wentz. Or I guess Pete Wentz looks like him.
It's Billy Zane. And for the record, he said it's his favorite role he ever played. And to be honest, he fucking stole that show. That man stole that show, boy. He stole it.
He immediately, from the first word he said out of his mouth, I'm like, okay, at least somebody took this role serious. They no matter what else happens in the film, it's kind of like Idris Elba in Pacific Rim. I was like, all the other acting, but this one guy, he's reading it. He understands.
I offer the idea that the acting is perfectly on par with what you would expect from a Tales from the Crypt movie, and is actually pretty damn good if you ask me. Tales from the Crypt always had a cheesy view to it, and we're talking heavy 95. This is movies like Tales from the Hood. This is a little post Candyman. We still have some Friday the 13th and Freddy's coming out. This is leftovers at this point. It's really an interesting time in horror, and not only was it really good for what it showed, but the practical effects I think were fucking amazing. They really did their Thug Dizzle for all the points that are mentioned. The large point of this film is they're hunkered down in the hotel. They're trying to protect this. There's 7 people locked in there. They're just random people that end up being there. And Breaker has to protect the key from the Collector. They end up being trapped inside the hotel because they can put a little bit of this blood around the doors and acts a protective seal, and the demons can't get in. From that point on, Billy Zane, the Collector, tries to tempt everyone in there to try to get them to give him the key. It's sort of like the standard Dracula rules where you have to be invited in, but it's more so just a kind of seal. But I'll let you go ahead and give your quick thing. The biggest, most notable thing about this film, Jada Pinkett is the final girl.
We're gonna hold on a second.
That is a bigger point than everything else. But I'll get to that later.
Usually, I like to. I know. Is this the time when I bring up the end of the film? But let's save that.
All right, cool.
That is like a good talking point about Savior Girl.
It's great. She is the final.
I would say this film opens up cheesy, terribly, terribly cheesy 90s from the get-go. But I think if you suspend your disbelief and just go in the mindset of, hey, this is a 90s film, this ends up being a pretty fun watch. I think it was a story of essentially an immortal who is running away from a demon, and there's 7 keys. The demons have 6 of the 7 keys, and he's the last survivor trying to keep this key away from them, and his only path is to just keep running and running. He ends up on this, again, with this band of misfits, so to speak, in this house for one night. And each one of them, I think, are they supposed to be modeled after the 7 sins, each character?
That's fair to say, but it's questionable because 3 people weren't tempted at all, and the 3 people that weren't tempted are presumed could have all held the key at the end.
Oh, so there's almost like multiple. It could have been multiple endings.
It could have been multiple endings.
Like it's got like a director's cut. So these people just kind of like, and there's like such generic things, but I'd say that the end of the film, they pass this immortal has to pass the burden on to someone else. The reason being, I'm not really sure, it gets passed to Jada, and she fucking holds it down, bro. Like, you don't get to see survivor girls that are like black women, and let alone Jada. It was interesting for me to see Jada. I haven't seen her in like so long. So to see her in a role this is
prime. This is some prime time Jada Pinkett. This is Jada Pinkett, not Jada Pinkett Smith.
This is set it off, Jada, correct?
Yes, short hair, blonde.
Set it off era, correct?
Oh, she was a baddie. Yeah. I mean, still a baddie. Don't get me wrong, but she was a baddie. But it was so important that she played the role, even in the roles that could have seemingly been the quote unquote generic. They didn't really lean too hard in it. I think everybody in there individually played their role.
Bro. Sorry, we gotta go back. What you sipping on?
Oh shit, I'm so sorry. All this video, we got distracted. Tonight I'm drinking on Campo Viejo Rioja Tempranillo, 2018 on the bottle. I'm not gonna show it off on screen because I don't know if we can't do that.
Yeah, I feel it's better safe than sorry. That's why I'm using a koozie.
Yeah. It is.
I feel like I can say it and they can bleep it out later. I cannot bleep out things on video. I'm not that nice with the editing. So
yeah, we'll see. It's going to be my task anyway. But red wine for the evening. Might end up through this bottle by the time we're done with these 2. But
I got myself a 6-pack of my favorite kind of female in the early 2000s, LA Blonde, from one of my favorite breweries out here, Angel City. It has one of the most interesting beers you will ever have on tap. You can attest to that, correct?
Which one was that? Oh, that was the one that was a blonde but was a porter? Yes.
Stout. I'm not drinking that one, but that is exactly the most interesting beer that is ever
It was
existed.
A blonde porter. It was wild, but I loved it. I love everything. So
keeping it local today.
That's what you're doing. Can't knock it. So,
reminds me of
What do you think about the film? You want me to go in, or you want to take it this time?
I knew that this film was going to be awesome when the demon, aka Billy Zane,
Billy
the demon,
the collector,
Billy the collector, punches a hole in a sheriff's face.
That's how,
and then does one of these, like puts a hole in his chest and carries him around. Like, I finally understand where Dad got that reference from. It's from this movie. He literally punches the dude's face fully in, and then his hand gets stuck in his skull, and he rips the head off. And I'm like, okay, this is they're keeping it pretty serious. And this film was pretty interesting for me because I remember Tales of the Crypt, but I don't remember HBO. I remember the cartoon, which the cartoon was pretty PC, I think.
Yeah, but that was well after.
Is that okay?
I think that was 94. I want to say that the cartoon was there because I actually went back and watched everything, including Tales from the Crypt. Actually, first had 2 movies in the 70s, and it wasn't the traditional Crypt Keeper that you associated with now. I actually went back and one is like Vaults of the Crypt or something like that, and I went and watched that second one today after watching this, and it was cheesy, but they're all based on old comics.
Yes, and they actually do a little homage to that, which was nice. I think at that moment, all the cheesy 90s stuff that happened before it, I forgave them. Right. Once he punches it, I was like, okay. There was some really ridiculous things, like 2 cars crash into each other, and the dude just walks away instantly, and then Billy Billy the demon like walks away like an hour later, which doesn't make any sense if they're both immortals. Like, why did it take Billy the demon an hour to get up and walk away? Right when the cops show up is when he decides. Like weird plot. The things just didn't make any sense for the first 20 minutes. And then they get stuck in this house, which I think this kind of horror film, I started realizing I've seen more of them, which was the you're stuck in the house for the night. You have to survive.
Right.
I don't know what the proper genre title is. Survivor House.
We'll call almost like the House on Haunted Hill theory. We'll go with that.
And this made me realize that I think that genre of movie was very popular at this time, because I remember Dusk Till Dawn. I immediately thought Dusk Till Dawn when they got locked in here, and I was like, oh, I love Dusk Till Dawn. I'm one of those weird guys. There's like a couple weird things. Dusk Till Dawn again is
for the record,
it's like Danny Brown.
Every episode you say like 2 more horror movies that you've seen. So I'm just gonna put judgment on you every time.
I know, and this is like I'm forgetting things because again, like I associate Dusk Till Dawn with more like I guess it is kind of horror.
It is,
yeah, I associate it more with the director.
It is 100% horror.
I think of it more of like sci-fi, but
no, that is not sci-fi. That is 100% horror. It's vampires, vampires trapping people into like with the Queen of the Damned. Yeah, I think that's pretty much horror.
I even watched the TV series. That's how much I love that movie. I sat down and watched the entire TV series.
You're fake and you're phony because you keep on every time.
I keep forgetting about these.
You're a big fat phony.
I'm watching. I'm realizing that I'm watching more than I give myself credit to. I guess maybe I'm at like 20 now, which isn't bad. I think that in the 90s, in this era, it was similar to the. Remember we were talking about the home invasion of the home invasion era. I believe this was like the trapped in the house era. So it was nice to see a little like.
No, I think because it's mid 90s. Mid 90s had a lot of different genres going on because you still had a couple of the ass end of the slashers. You were right before you're getting into the screams. I Know What You Did Last Summer. It was an interesting thing. Like you had a lot of the like a little bit more extreme horror in some ways. A lot of compilation horrors as well. Tales from the Hood came out around the same time. Tales from the Hood is a classic. You've never seen Tales from the Hood. That's definitely on the list though. Tales from the Hood is on the list.
I've heard great things. I think I only maybe sat down and watched a few scenes of Bones. Not Bones. Is the name of the film Bones?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
Is it Bones?
It's Bones. It's Bones.
Is it Bones?
I've seen Tales from the Hood too, though, and that's like,
but
where to get
so strongly recommend this again for a drinking film. This is like a classy drinking film. I could think of a dozen rules that this would be a blast, especially with it being again, Jada pops up and plays this. It has that tasteful blackness to it.
Yeah.
And
but man, you have to keep in mind who the director was. Who the director was.
Tasteful
it was
blackness.
A black director.
So
it was a black director.
Like, okay. I had no idea.
The man who did Juice was a black director. Why is there doubt?
Oh wait, sorry. You did tell me that. I forgot we were talking about the dude who did Juice did this. Sorry.
I said the cinematographer for Spike Lee for Malcolm X. What is going on?
Brain juice.
It's
brain
late
juice
for
is
me.
not connecting the dots.
I'm
today.
judging you.
The synapses.
I'm judging.
The synapses.
I'm 100% judging you.
I think with that is the only point I will be talking about, and I'll hand it over to you because my last point has to deal with the ending of the film, which I'll let you talk about some other fun stuff you want before the ending. By the way, fuck the dude in the Hawaiian shirt. Fuck that guy. No one likes that guy.
Here's the thing though. It's Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church, if you don't know, was Sandman in Spider-Man 3, the Sam Raimi ones. And was the only redeeming character. He's an excellent actor. And the fact that you disliked him here, and then you could look, he's played so many. I think he was in Wings at the time. You probably don't even know what the fuck that show is. You
just like blew my mind with the Sandman thing. I'm just like,
yeah, Thomas Hayden Church is Sandman in the number 3.
This is a weird ass role. That's a weird ass role.
But that shows range. That shows range.
Yeah.
I want to individually give a lot of shout outs to the individual characters that were rolling around here. So first of all, Billy Zane, probably his best performance ever. Some of the greatest things that he did is he was trying to tempt each and every character that was in here. There's 7 of them. There's Breaker, who's the immortal, who has the blood, who's actually trying to prevent everything. You have Jada Pinkett, who is the survivor girl, but we'll get to that. There is a little boy that pops up that's briefly showed in the beginning when Breaker was trying to steal a car to get out. And then Thomas Hayden Church, who's a scumbag. You got his girlfriend, who just is getting beat by him all the time. You have Uncle Willie. I forget his real name, but he's an older guy who's a drunk who's there. And then we have CCH Pounder, who is a very classic black woman actor who's excellent. And then you have another police officer that shows up.
That's Amanda Waller, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Amanda Waller, okay.
She's a classic, plays the shit out of the role. She more or less owns the hotel, and you would think that she would have that. Again, she's a very tasteful black character. It's portrayed well. As it goes on through the night, they keep the demons out to a certain point. They almost make it out from a hidden tunnel, but the demons are already covering up that tunnel. And this basically pushes them all the way up to the attic. Along the way, some people get tempted, and when they get tempted, they turn into a demon. It's important to say at the beginning, when he initially gets locked out of the house, Billy Zane summons a couple of smaller demons, and we learn that the only way to kill the demons is to take out their eyes. It's not getting shot in the head.
You'll
it's getting
shoot
shot
your
in the
eye
eyes.
out.
Yeah,
I had to. You come on, you know I was gonna say that.
I'm not even mad at you. And
you know,
it is basically them getting chased all the way from the bottom, all the way up to the attic. And along the way, they're slowly but surely marking off new places. Things happen so that they can't get caught. Multiple people succumb to Billy Zane's temptation. So what he does is sort of these inner monologues. He can't come in their house, but he can get into their heads. And he starts convincing people like the traditional trade-off, like, you give me the key, I'll give you your wildest dreams, blase, blase, blah.
Yeah, it was like the horror. He was like, hey, I'll love you. You don't need to, like, all you want is true love. The drunk old man Willie was just like
Uncle Willie got
massive amounts of women,
and so much
topless
liquor.
women and alcohol. Which again, in each one of these little like I guess like mirages or dreams or whatnot, he like plays a character within them. Yeah. In these little temptations, he plays a character within them.
Billy Zane.
And and he played the bartender in the drunks, and I was like, it's just so he's having so much fun. Like you can tell he's like having so much fun.
Another one.
He's like,
hey,
keep drinking up,
the finest. You're liking the ladies, huh? Another one. He just literally played into everybody's vices. At one point, the older black woman loses her arm. And
do you want to know what was the most unrealistic thing of this film?
What? Her getting her arm ripped off?
Was this woman ripping her arm and then walking through 30 seconds afterwards? No one in their right mind would lose a limb and be able to function their lower extremities.
I disagree. That's why it happened to the older black woman, because she was a G. She took it like a G. She put that tourniquet on.
She lived through the 60s,
poured
and the 70s,
vodka.
and the 80s.
So. She lived through the 50s. Fuck that.
Getting her arm chopped off had nothing to do with racial oppression of the 60s, right? In the 50s.
They poured that vodka on that nub after they put that tourniquet on, and she said, "Fuck you, give me the bottle."
No.
No, she was
the arm gets chopped off. They just like pour the vodka on, and she's like, give me a swig of it. And then she just like goes about her day.
No, she said, give me the bottle. Completely and killed that shit.
Completely functional.
And then she was like,
completely functional.
She was about that life though. She was like Thomas Hayden Church character, Roach, by the way, was like one of the other people that get tempted. So we'll go through the order of temptation. So real quick, you have the horse. She ends up getting shot. That's part when CCH Pounder loses her arm. Of course, we already talked about the first cop that got his head punched in. Uncle Willie got tempted with the liquor. Another one that actually liked the postman, actually liked the girl, and he ended up dying because of the girl. CCH Pounder, in the end, ends up killing herself because there's some grenades up there, because the postman, who liked the horror, actually had a whole arsenal in the attic, because this was 95, and that's when postal workers were shooting people up, so it made a lot of sense. Part of the thing is she comes down, she has grenades strapped to her, and her and the other cop try to fend him off. They send Breaker, Jada Pinkett,
And
And
she
a
literally
little boy
pulls the
up to the
pin,
thing,
though.
and she
Yeah,
pulled the pin on
that shit
6
was
grenades.
OG when she pulled the pin, bro. Pulled the pin, bro. That's that whole lifestyle. Like
Blew
all
up a
or
whole bunch of
nothing.
demons. The collector almost got the key because Roach tried to give it to him, and when Roach gave it to him, he ended up dying anyway. It all culminates where they get to the attic, and it's Jada Pinkett, Breaker, and a little boy. The little boy ends up getting possessed because he's too busy reading a Tales from the Crypt comic. And then when that happened, I said, little kids can get it too. Killing kids since 1995. I always love when kids die in movies because it's always bold. That motherfucker got kicked out of the window, through a seal, and extra died.
That was one of the
exploded.
coolest. That was one of the coolest deaths where I was like, "Oh, that was very clever use of the seal." Because they put the blood at the opening again, like marketing it very like olden Christianity lifestyles. And demons couldn't walk through it, and there was a few demons who tried to, and they essentially got fizzled. So in the attic, they had put it onto a window, and homegirl Jada hops up and just kicks him into the window. It was so fucking clean. That shit was so clean.
It was G. Like, it was a nice kill. And she killed the little boy like, well, this is what life is now. That's what it is. So along this way, Breaker, the immortal protector of the key, ends up getting mortally wounded. What happens is Jada's blood spills onto the window and actually creates the seal that she ends up eventually kicking the boy through. So it shows him that she is worthy to be the person that gets passed off. She was tempted at one point by Billy Zane, and Billy Zane tried to say, hey, you could travel the world, you could do what you do, you don't have to be part of this work release program no more.
That whole temptation was very chic, by the way. It was very chic, very stylish, very stylish and chic.
It had a huge picture of her on the wall, as you would imagine everybody that had a studio apartment in 1995 would have. Like, just huge if you had the money for that. And a real cool effect this has is that there's a huge picture of Jada on the wall, and there's like demons pushing out from behind it, and at one point it starts crying tears of blood. I thought it was such a cool practical effect, honestly.
Ooh, okay. I didn't even notice that, but that's a good callback.
Yeah,
because I guess when I saw that, I always think of Nightmare on Elm Street.
One of the greatest scenes ever. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the wall scene that was done with a rubber wall. But Jada ends up reluctantly but ultimately taking on this responsibility. So what happens is Breaker ends up putting his blood into the bottle. So it adds to the bottle, and now this is a mix of Jesus' blood, or the carpenter, and a whole bunch of other people's blood in there. Everybody else who was we'll call them almost like these guardians, the immortal guardians. And Billy Zane finally comes upstairs, and he's like, I told you he'd die. Why don't you just fuck with me, and give me the key. We'd be all right. I'll unlock the seal. And Jada's hiding, and Jada comes out covered in blood. And Billy Zane tries to touch her, and she's poured the blood in the vial all over herself and covered herself with the Breaker's blood. So she already tried something that probably none other of the collectors ever tried. She went full straight Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator mud, blood all over her, so you can't touch me, which was so fire. Then
I always thought it was a bigger shout out to Carrie for like a quick like shout out to Carrie.
You call it shout out to Carrie, but it reminded me of Predator. When Arnold muddied himself up, like he played the game right, and I thought it was unique because it showed that she did something the demons didn't anticipate. So her
you're thinking out of the box, like
already.
It showed that she was the proper chosen one. She was trying to do things a little bit more, adding dimensions and things that people don't see. Like,
and she took it a step further.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Breaker never thought about pouring the blood in his hand and punching someone in the face.
Not at all.
That seems like that
bloody
smart idea
just,
to do.
Yeah,
I'd have been in with like straight fisticuffs. Like,
I mean, he could probably cut up his own hands. He could have his own hands. Yeah, his blood would have been right. Like, I cut up my hands where it is. Was like, soak my hands in it.
Yeah, I always love where that's like. Again, this film felt like a couple different films at once, which makes it a fun little meta. It's definitely meta. Definitely meta.
God damn, I'd say it's more meta than anything. Meta. It's not meta. Definitely everything. Meta, stop saying meta. Definitely it's not meta. It's definitely not meta. Definitely it's a story. It's not meta.
It's
but
not meta. I think that was dope. But my favorite scene of that moment. You know what film I think the director actually had more influence from?
What?
Can you guess? And it has to do with one of the last scenes with Jada. Like in that scene, it happened right after the blood scene.
Right after the blood scene was the tub scene.
Right before the transition to the tub scene. Do you not remember?
When she
okay,
you want to go Golden Child? Is that what you're thinking?
No. So she hops down from the attic. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Yeah.
And it's exactly how the scene from Alien.
I guess
what's her name?
Ripley.
Yeah. Sorry, that's shameful as a sci-fi guy that I forgot her name. Dishonored
Ripley.
my family and my clan.
It's all right.
But
that's what I'm here
Ripley.
for.
Ripley. You know what I'm talking about when she jumps down and then does that scene. And I saw that and I immediately was like, oh, dude, that was an homage shot. Like that especially because she's in the full white getup as well. Think about what Jada's wearing. The outfit that she's wearing is just like the outfit from Alien, and that one shot.
Oh yeah, she does end up down in just her bare clothes, and that's sort of like
in the bare clothes, in the white bare clothes. And I was like, that's
a good one.
See, that's a good like little a little head nod to a former film, and then again, it's because it's the Survivor girl. I think it was like a head nod to that Survivor girl culture. And it was just dope to see like Jada in that pose. Like,
but how did she beat Billy Zane though? How did she beat Billy Zane though? Let's talk about how.
Okay.
Billy Zane comes back and with a shower curtain and wraps her up and throws her into a tub to start showering her off.
Again, plot devices, guys. You mean to tell me these demons don't fucking got gloves? They didn't think about gloves this entire time?
He went down and got her shirt and curtain. His shower curtain worked just fine. Wrapped up his shower curtain, turned out the shower, and hit her with the line. They say cleanliness is close to godliness. That's going to be the first thing I change. And I was like, yeah. Billy. Every line from Billy Zane was so great. Fucking amazing. He loved that role.
I'm trying to think of another character that was as not quirky. Is quirky the word? Just like they're having fun.
They're evil, but he's very almost like Freddy at Freddy's peak. When Freddy Krueger was having fun, and it was like it stopped being as much serious as Freddy was just fucking joking all the time, but it was fucking great. That was key Freddy. It's almost like that. Like Billy Zane could have been Freddy Krueger in that moment, but he still played it so unique as a demon. He had to tempt
he
people.
Played it, and he lived it, and it really he was the highlight of the film. I just want to stress it one more time.
Hands down.
The way his dialogue was so many quotables, and just the way he's saying it. It just sounds like you're having so much fun.
That's what he said.
If you play that like he's playing a demon who is trying to torment people, but demons have like this is fun to them. So to be able to show that like overjoy, and it wasn't sensual, which was cool. It like literally was like a kid having fucking fun.
Yeah. But you still got he was evil. You still saw that he was. He was powerful and evil. And when you could have somebody that's that fun and that powerful at the same time is a scary character.
Yeah. So wrapped him up in the shower curtain.
Wash her off, and she drops this key vial, with the blood in it. But what she does, she picks it up right quick and she puts a whole bunch of it in her mouth. Think a la Eddie Murphy, Golden Child, trying to get the glass of water across the pillars. Because he wanted the knife. I want the knife.
I was like,
please
get that out of my. Is that a horror film? Is that a horror film as well?
In some ways it is. I call it fantasy. Golden Child's fantasy. Golden Child's fantasy.
That's what I'm telling you. Dusk Till Dawn fantasy.
No, it's not. That is pure art.
Supernatural fantasy.
That aside, Jada has the blood in her mouth. And Billy Zane is like trying to tempt her. And again, he's like, well, I like you. I want you and I want to keep you around. And if I can't keep you around, I'll just rip your heart out. And he's like doing this scene where he's dancing with her and so like forcing her to dance and spinning her around. And you can see that she has her mouth shut and she's just trying to call in. He goes through all this and she sees the moment and spits all this blood on his face. And he explodes and dies. And it is just such ingenuity that she takes in that moment to win in that situation. She proceeds to end up leaving the house and getting on a bus to finally leave that place. And when she gets on the bus, the first thing she does is turn around and adds a drop of blood at the door. The bus goes to the next bus stop. another collector, another suitcase, is getting ready to get, and a black collector at this point, which I thought was cool, to get on.
He was fly. Yeah, he had that old black mustache. You got that old black mustache right here.
He looked like old boy from. Oh, you didn't see the Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th when Jason came back and he wasn't in the movie at all. But that's a whole different thing. He's about to get on and he's like, I'll catch the next bus. Bus driver's like, all right, cool, bro. And you could see him see Jada, and you could tell that this is just the beginning of her journey. One of the greatest things that I think that Breaker said to her when he passed this on to her was that her death was inevitable. It may come in this lifetime, it may come in a couple lifetimes, but she's going to be forced in that position when it's time to do that. And her death is going to be able to pass it on.
And I think that is... So, Billy Zane's acting is what I love most about the film. But I think the Breaker as a character to drive the narrative was what really like intrigued me to keep watching, because it started building. It was the world building aspect. Breaker was able to build this world very quickly, and they use like montage shots very well, which I always like. Dude, there's some shitty fucking montage flashback scenes, but they were able to build a world very quickly. I think if you added up all the montage scenes, it had to be 5 minutes tops, but they're able to build this whole mythos around it, which makes me so interested of like, why is there not a fucking Demon Knight Netflix film? Like, why?
Yeah, you could do a story and have a different person that held the key and a different collector. You could show literally how the other Jada right keys.
Now to do the film. Like,
I'd watch it. I'd watch it.
She could do the series. She could be the season 1, and then she kills off, hands it off to someone else. And that's the end of the season 1, and the next person. Like every season,
they could pull like Limitless. Almost, you could do a new person that's carrying it at a different time.
It could be a new person every season. It could be anthology-esque.
You could show how it got to Breaker's hands. You could show.
This was as intriguing as like Highlander and Witcher for me. Like
absolutely.
Just the mythos behind it of like, oh, this would be a really cool concept that like people could have a lot of fun, especially since they associated the Christianity religion to it. It like gives them so much stuff to do, you know what I mean?
Right.
Again, because they talked about 7 keys, so it's like
the other 6 keys. How did they grab the other 6 keys?
Yeah. Like, you can go follow. How did they get the TV show could be about? It could be fucking each 6 episodes, one about each key. Like
if it got Billy Zane back to play the collector for one motherfucking episode, I'd pay for it. I'd pay for it.
It'd be so.
I'd pay for it.
It'd be so. But that was
somebody could get my subscription for at least 30 days.
Yeah, and the Breaker character that was more just like great. I think narrative writing. And the actor himself did do a great job of playing this kind of grifter of sorts that made this world very interesting. After Billy Zane punched that dude's head, before Billy Zane punched the dude's head, there's a lot of cheesy.
But you look at his character as he may be the bad guy, and Billy Zane may be the good guy up until the point where they really break that completely, and they let you know this is what the fuck is going down. And I think it did a good job of misportraying who the protagonist was to begin.
You kind of had a feel that maybe they were. They were adversaries, but not necessarily good.
Nobody was really the good guy. Like anybody was just getting caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, you did realize they were adversaries, but it could go either way. If they were good, bad, or anti-heroes or stuff. So it was a good setup. I think overall that was like the world building, and that's again anthology. It shouldn't be surprising because this is a movie based off an anthology, which that's all they have to do is build a world. This small, I would love to see a Demon Knight TV show on the internet at some point with Jada reprising the role one last time.
Jada
like,
and
even
Billy
if
Zane.
she's just in the first episode.
Jada and Billy Zane gotta come back.
Honestly, you can pull. I think the entire cast is still alive. The entire cast could reprise roles, and it could be really fun.
Side note. Just some excellent things. I'm just gonna pull these out because these are all the things I want to make sure I say before we go too far. Breaker William Sander was in the first episode of Tales from the Crypt in 1989.
Ever?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's fucking dope.
So he was the main character in the first Tales from the Crypt in 1989, the first episode as Bill Hader. His name is William Hader as Bill Hader. I thought that was pretty cool. I want to also point out that the intro that they recreated from the Tales of the Crypt show and cleaned it up was so very good. It was just right on point. They had the Crypt Keeper walking around, so there's some little person or somebody who's playing him walking around, and they had that almost mini opening movie to it, that opening episode for it, that nice little prologue that was so 100% great. Tales from the Crypt, wonderful fodder. And it was all together just done very well for what it is. I'm really disappointed that we didn't get to see the other two movies. There was Bordello of Blood that came out afterwards, a few years later. It wasn't part of the sequel, but the key did show up in there.
Yeah, it's films like this that get me sad because it's like, oh man, this has so much potential. This could be so cool.
It was critically panned when it came out, though.
And then I get. It was what?
Critically panned when it came out. It got like a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that.
But then people go back and say, "Damn, that shit was a gem," because it was.
It's one of those things that I think
wrong time.
They're having too much fun, and I feel like that in the moment was probably the worst for them. Like just you. In the moment, sometimes people ain't ready for that kind of energy. Like, it's the same thing when I go out and drink. Sometimes people ain't ready for my energy. That doesn't mean I'm coming with the wrong energy. It's just I'm around the wrong people, you know?
Wrong people, wrong time.
I would say this particular film is based off of anthology. Mm-hmm. Why do you think anthology works so well in the horror genre?
Because you're not limited. You're not limited. What the best thing about most anthologies that come out, and I'd say some of the best ones nowadays are Trick or Treat, VHS 1 and most of 2, the ABCs of Death, the ABCs of Death 2. There are a lot of anthologies, even going back to the Twilight Zone movie and Creepshow. They are so good because you get to have, remember we keep on talking about sometimes people's short films are the best films. You get to run that short film. You're not limited that you have to use these characters. You don't have to use this storyline. You have whatever freedom reign you want to have. And most of the anthology series have rotating directors that allow it to have its own life. And that's what worked for American Horror Story. Works for American Horror Story. The fact that every single one didn't limit you to having to go back to the other one.
One of these days we'll talk about American Horror Story and how that shit is the most wishy-washy show I've never seen a show be so drastically good and then drastically terrible in like season to season. It is just
wouldn't that be
crazy.
better? Wouldn't that be better if you didn't have to wait a whole season for it? If you just had to wait 20 minutes?
The disparity in some seasons are just like, whoa.
See, but that's what anthologies avoid. When anthologies give you that opportunity to just get out your best idea and not having to flesh anything out, it's so fucking good. Like Creepshow has some of the great things. I mean, it's just all about having that. So
here we go. Question number 2. Here we go. If you had to create a movie tagline for this cheesy 90s film, because movie taglines were very important for cheesy 90s film, what would it be?
Demon Night. Ooh. No, it would be some like Demon Night. You'll definitely be dead by dawn. Like some shit like that. Like undercutting some other movie. So that's how I go.
Gotcha. Oh, I see what you did there. Clever. Because you have to do it. Okay. And my last question, and maybe it's like a 2-parter. This kind of film doesn't get made anymore. We don't get films like this anymore. I don't feel like.
I disagree.
I don't feel like people. Well, then talk about a film that has come out recently that is having this much fun. And why? Why it like reminds you of this?
You go for Tucker and Dale versus Evil. You haven't seen it yet, but it literally plays on a whole bunch. You say Tucker and Dale versus Evil. They had fun. Bubba Hotep has fun. There are a lot of movies that have fun.
We're just adding to that. Like you're just adding to like I've seen more films.
Hey, this guy's a great
that I remember.
Right.
Tucker versus Dale. That's actually a documentary.
Tucker and Dale
right?
versus
Evil
Evil
is a horror film. That's a documentary.
It's a horror comedy. There's a whole bunch out there that do that, and I will never discount that there are people that are trying to keep it alive. It might not be the best production, it might not be in everything you see, but you get to see it in everything. That was
a good one. That was probably one of my favorite. There was like Shaun of the Dead for the minute, and then I started Tucker and Dale, and I was like, nah, Tucker and Dale's like top one.
There you go. Like, you're talking about movies that all fall in that line. So I think there are a lot of people that are still carrying that on. Definitely.
But think about like recently though, like the last 5 years.
Last 5 years, I'd leave it to some of these anthology series. I feel like one of them probably slipped in there in Black Mirror. Say the one where she was trying to struggle to get the likes and stuff like that. But
Black Mirror isn't as much fun. Black Mirror is suspense. I give Black Mirror credit that they're able to build suspense that truly reminds me of like Twilight Zone level suspense. But they're not having as much fun. Their jokes aren't that funny.
But some of that, again, it's British comedy, no shots. It's just some of them are real fun. So I mean, it's debatable. I'll find you a couple. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, think about that because I think that was one of the ooey gooey.
But it was
of the 90s.
It was campy goodness though. It was campy goodness. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but that was one of the ooey gooey awesomenesses about the 90s is that I feel like people had fun in films. Like I bring up Fifth Element was another classic one. This is sci-fi epic. But people are having fucking fun, dude. Like it's just a fun ass film.
Gary Oldman, aka Commissioner Gordon from
like that opera scene is so much fun. Where there's like she's fighting people are having fun. And it was something about the '90s that was very. I don't know if it's because it's lighthearted or because people were experimental because it was like the new millennia was coming.
No, I think it was just the type of. It was the type of films. It was that type of level you had this in between. Campiness was still a thing, so to speak. So I wouldn't ever take that away. So
yeah, and it almost makes me start thinking of the reason why I asked this question because makes me think of the point of like we don't know how to have fun anymore, man. We take things too seriously.
There are, and I think a lot of things that have fun are allowed to have fun because there's a lot more independent movies, there's a lot more smaller movies, there are a lot more series that are getting chances. So it's out there. The thing is, there may be so much more you have to go through to find it. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. A lot of my thoughts about this movie was less about the movie and more about like the external like connections.
Oh, sure.
So, for some reason, like it just made me start going down nostalgia lane and thinking about things. So, all right. Lastly, and most importantly, man, what are you giving it?
3. I don't care what anybody says. It's campy. It's shitty. It's terrible. Just because Jada survived, I'm giving it 3. Fuck anything else. Billy Zane's performance is a 4. Oh. Billy Zane's performance is a 4. Tell me anything else.
All right, bro.
Billy Zane's performance is a 4. True or false?
I don't know. His performance is a 10.
His performance is great. 12 and a half.
Billy Zane, and again, he still looks like Pete Wentz. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. He looks like fucking Pete Wentz.
And you know what? The movie was so good, it made me go back, and I already went through the first season of Tales from the Crypt today. Because it was like, damn, that shit
I do want to watch. It did make me want to watch.
It's great, man.
I will get that. I'll get that on my final. I got some final feedback. All right, cool. So that was the question. Didn't you want to talk about Survivor Girl or something?
I'll get to that. No, but your questions I have for you. What was the greatest practical effect? Okay. Because you're not giving. Hold on a
second. Wait. So I give this a strong 2 because this is a fun watch.
Like a 2.
This is something you can toss. 2.4.
That's fair. I was going to give it a 2.5, but then I thought about how good Billy Zane was. I said, fuck it, I'll give it a 3.
It's 2.4, and the only reason why is I think it has a high rewatchability factor.
I've seen it already maybe 3 times this year.
Yeah, I think it could be a really fun movie to rewatch, and particularly around this could be a really fun drinking game. And again, it's the tasteful blackness that I think could be really fun with the right company.
Support black
this
directors.
This is the perfect drinking game movie I've ever seen. I need to think of 3 rules and post it in the comments later because it's just so much fun because of that. So yeah, I'm landing on the 2. It's a strong 2. I was surprised. I the first 15 minutes I was like, egg life, egg anyone?
No.
But then Billy Zane literally fisted someone. He literally fisted someone, man. It was like in Batman, where he's just got to lift up 500 pounds of soil through. All right, it was like Kill Bill, just grip, that's he just fisted this person point blank range, Ip Man style, just swift blow. And then I was like, all right, this movie's it got out of the egg territory very quickly, and I was like, okay, high one, and then the what pushed it for the 2 was again the ending scenes with Billy Zane, where I was like, man, he's still fucking killing it, and then the world building
thing.
And then number 3 was the Jada survival with the link. Again, I don't know. The alien shot spoke to me, dude. I was like, it was so fucking dope.
When you say that, I do realize it was very important.
And in my opinion, that was the second alien callback, because I believe when the first little minion demon showed up, they kind of look like they went with like a little bit more of the alien.
Everybody goes a little xenomorph sometimes. Yeah, I can see that. So
you said my favorite practical effect.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to know what was a practical effect. Were the demons practical effects?
Yeah. This was not a CGI.
Okay, then it was the demons. I love the character design for the demons. It actually reminded me a lot of there's a comic book, which you're gonna bleep this out too, because you just don't like me referencing comic books, do you?
As long as you don't go on a 10-minute rant, you got it.
Go ahead, bleep it out. There's a comic book by the name of Witches. That I feel like the characters look a lot like these little demon guys, and that particular comic book also has like a pretty cool art style. So I feel like it's a cool reference that like they just looked so cool, and they did the super neon green eyes, and their blood was neon. It just added a very good like texture to their very dark and slimy kind of vibe. So yeah, I would say the demons was probably the coolest practical effect. Like those are just dudes in costumes.
Yeah, a lot of those people in just costumes. Honestly, like it's 95 or 90% CGI. Like they were doing so
probably
well.
Just dudes in costumes. Yeah, that I would say that was probably my top one.
And
what you got for number 2?
Outside of Billy Zane, who's your favorite character in that? If you were to look subjectively at all the characters that came in there, who's your favorite and why?
Ooh, that's tough. It's a toss up between Breaker and Jada.
No Uncle Willie?
Uncle Willie's in there. Uncle Willie dope. Uncle Willie was a fun little side. He's a little side character that's just fun. He's like the Danny DeVito of this Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode. He's very important. Yeah, never forget it. Damn, it's a toss up, so I'm gonna say both, and I'm just gonna do it. Like Jada and Breaker, like it was just a good.
Breaker went from really whack to really dope. Really.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. He was like I'm gonna say Breaker because again he just, and I hate this. Those are the two main characters in the film. I'm fucking lame, I know, but Breaker just adds all this world building all of a sudden. And what I thought was really cheesy was just actually some dude that is just fucking paranoid as hell on the run all the time. Like this was just when you take it from the lens of like this dude has been running for 100 years.
Yeah, easily.
These are the thought processes of a man who runs,
right?
Just runs for his life,
for humanity, not for his life.
Yeah,
for everyone's
life.
Lives.
You're right. For all of humanity, he's got the entire humanity on his shoulders. So I would say Breaker. But he doesn't have any of my favorite shots, so it is what it is.
One of the great things I thought was the special effects that I was just gonna say light is when he was putting the blood on all the windows. They didn't show him putting the blood. They kept on putting a glowing red light in the background. That's how you do practical special effects that get exactly what you're thinking.
Oh, that wasn't CG. That wasn't CGI.
No, I mean not when he poured when he started pouring the blood, and they kept on in the background showing the red light glow up on him. They decided to go with just showing light and using light instead of actually having to show you the blood and everything that went on everything.
That's good. That's
good. So I say it's like really underrated. We'll let it rock.
I think there's one final thing I want to ask you. Just want to go back. What's your favorite line from the film? Because there was a bunch of good lines.
Favorite line is the one I wrote down. Is get that pussy off the table.
God damn it! Get that pussy off the table.
I'm talking about the cat.
I was talking about the cat. Said get that pussy off the table. I was talking about the cat.
Mine was Billy Zane when he gets poked in the eye and he goes, "That only works on low-level demons." I'm like, "Oh, it's a corporation. The demons are corporate America.
They got an organization." So
it's an organization. He's like, "Oh, it looks on these higher up."
It's so crazy.
Which I was like, genius, little little shots at capitalism. Little.
So I'm gonna go out of my way and say I did some research after this because I thought it was very important that Jada Pinkett was the final girl. She was the survivor girl. And I do not believe that there is another soul survivor girl. The story ended up being about her at the end, not about anybody else. She wasn't somebody's friend. She wasn't a side character. She was the survivor character in the film.
That makes it a 2.9 now. That is bumped up to
I want to say she is perhaps the first black survivor girl, not in a black horror film. Like, this isn't Blackula or some shit where all the cast is black. You ain't got no choice. In a mainstream film, she was the black survivor girl, and I do not think I can think of anyone outside of that. And I try to do some research, and I try to find it. Now, I do want to highlight some of the greatest black survivors of all time. You ready? We're going to run down.
Let's do
it. First, we're going to go with Ron O'Neal in 1979. Ron O'Neal, yes, Superfly. He was in When a Stranger Calls, and he was a side character, but he survived. Next, we're going to go to Ken Foray, Dawn of the Dead.
The Hall of Fame of black survivors.
This is 1978, but technically, in the director's cut, he kills himself by sticking his head in a helicopter blade, so I don't know if I could technically call him a survivor. But the theatrical release, he did survive. Keith David, another questionable. Keith David from The Thing. Did he survive at the end, or did he not? Did you see The Thing? I won't spoil it. And for that,
it's a sci-fi film, right? It's a
sci-fi horror film. That's what sci-fi horror.
I think the oldest sci-fi horror film is Invasion of the Body Snatchers for me. That's like the oldest one, I think.
Next, we're going to go Shavar Ross. Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. He was a little black boy that ended up actually putting some hurting on Jason, and he survived. Lawrence Fishburne. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Dream Warriors. He survived. Again, not a main character. All these other people are just kind of side characters. Kelly Jo Minter, she was in a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, one of the worst ones, but she survived. Then we have a classic out here. We have Brandon Quentin Adams, who was Poindexter in The People Under the Stairs. That little black boy survived. He was probably the survivor boy before that, so I'll give it to him. Like, he really was the main character
film was
in that. The People Under the Stairs.
Okay.
We'll get to that another time.
I thought you were talking about the hip hop group.
No, that's where they got it from. Then you have Cassie Lemons. Oh, another black gem. She was great. She was in Candyman. She was in The Silence of the Lambs, and she survived. Again, she wasn't a main character. And then we have Morgan Freeman in 7. 1995, he did survive.
Oh, you're just gonna make me do it, aren't you?
He did survive. You go ahead with it.
You want me to do it?
Go ahead, living your life.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
That's what it is.
What's in the box?
That's gonna be one of the ones I'm gonna actually cut into the audio. I promise you. And then we have Rachel True, a baddie.
That's why I put that big ass pause for you.
I had to stop, and we have to talk about Rachel True, who is a fucking baddie, who was in The Craft, and she survived. And she's supposedly coming out.
Shit, I forgot about The Craft.
And she might actually be in the Craft remake that's coming out. I am so
They're remaking that?
Yes, we are. Yes, they are, and she may actually be in it.
Starting Zoe Kravitz and
I'm all for it. If
Billie Eilish, Zoe Kravitz, and
I'll take whatever. All I know is Rachel True is coming back for that. She's supposedly coming back in The Craft. Whether she's making an appearance because she actually survived. But in my opinion, the first and real only black survivor girl, someone proved me wrong, is Jada Pinkett.
Yeah, I would say. I think those are cold hard facts. That's facts. I think facts. Yeah. And to close out for me, man, this film just made me want to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, dude? I really
watch Tales from the Crypt, man. I just watched the first season. I was like, every episode is great.
This is so like there's something about culturally as Americans that I think like anthology horror series is like hugely critical in culture.
Twilight Zone did it. Twilight Zone is the origin.
It's like story. We always have these. Again, right now we have
Black Mirror.
Too deep in the blonde nails. We have Black Mirror now, and honestly, before Black Mirror, there was this huge lull of this horror anthology.
100%, and a whole bunch of people
Black
tried.
Mirror came back. Black Mirror came back with this suspenseful tech stuff. So I think that it's just awesome that there's something super, super critical. I think in American culture now about these like horror anthologies. And then the number 2, just my closing statement is we got to do something. We need to look at another black film, but like one of the terribly black films. Like, why does horror go so black sometimes? Why does every horror series have a black? Like, why do they do that?
What do they go to the hood?
They always record exec? They always it was hot to do about that when we go watch. Maybe we'll go watch Tales from the Hood. And
Leprechaun went to the hood twice, maybe 3 times.
Like
Leprechaun
and maybe let's save it. I just want to put it out in the world. Whenever we watch the super black horror film, I want to talk about why Hollywood feels like they need to make a black film.
It was
because
a trend.
It feels
It was a trend in the
forced.
It was a trend. It was a trend. It's just what happened. Everybody had to go to New York
that being
City.
said, this was not one of those films. This was extremely tasteful.
Yep.
It did not have that, but it did make me have a minor thought of like, I wonder why Hollywood always was trying to put black and stuff.
Hey.
But this was very tasteful. Very tasteful.
I will say Ernest Dickerson was in a film called Horror Noir. It is a documentary talking about the history of black films. It's not a plug. Nobody's giving us money or shit for this. But if you really want to look at some of the history of black horror, it's very, very, very key. One of the earliest black horror films came out, and I think it was black and white. It may have been the fucking 30s. It was an absolutely excellent thing and had a black female lead. It's really crazy and something to think about. And him being part of that history is very, very important. And Jada being part of that history, being the black survivor girl, again, she was a main character. I challenge you to find one where another one was the main character. And I'm not talking about like, well, you know what? I've also disclaimer.
She's the second name in the opening credits, bruh.
Yeah.
Second name.
Yep.
Okay.
Top billing.
Second name.
Top billing. Oh, last thing I want to say, I almost left. I have to say this, that the execs try to make that character, you know who they try to get that character to be? Cameron Diaz. And Ernest Dickerson was like, fuck Snow. I'm putting in Jada. They were like, no, we really want Cameron Diaz. He's like, no, fuck you. We're doing Jada.
Let's not. I'm saying she's Latina. Let's not forget the Afro Latino roots.
Fuck that.
Like,
for this one, Jada got it. They try to whiten up the role. That
wasn't happening. Cameron Diaz wasn't working that role.
You gave it a 2.9, and you're not gonna tell me Ernest Dickerson saying I'm not making the film if you don't have Jada as the lead.
I got the 2.9 because I didn't realize that was the only black survivor girl, and I don't give a fuck like what people think. So yeah, 2.9. It's close, and she deserves it. All right. We got to wrap this one up because we got one more to go. It's a double session as always. All right. I always want to say peace, love, and prosperity to everyone out there.
What you said? Peace, love, and nappiness, y'all. You got any questions for me right now? We got anything to leave us with?
Yeah, I think. What's your? Oh man, maybe this is maybe open up a can of worms.
No, I'll try to keep it quick.
Pull the pin. What? Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm trying to phrase this question least offensive as possible.
Fuck it.
What's your opinion on Juneteenth? Like, really? Like, do you fucks with it? Do you not? Like,
it's important for represents, and if they give all these other people shit for shit that holds us down, fuck it. Give us a weekend. Let us have our own Memorial Day, and at least it adds. You know what it is? It's making up for the fact we got the shortest month of the year. So fuck it.
I've never been a fan.
I'm a Yankee. Cold. So we get a short, cold month to celebrate. So if this gets us a weekend every year, fuck it, I'll take it.
Interesting. I just find it funny that those Texans didn't get the memo. Fucking hate Texas.
Racist.
Put that plug in there real quick. Fucking hate Texas.
Okay, Sarah.
Anyways, till we meet again, y'all. Till we meet again. Peace, love, prosperity always.
Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience, everyone.
Really, like the man said, if you knew who I was,
We'll find out soon enough.
why wait?
Heads up! Humans! You're not worth the flesh you're printed on! Fuck this cowboy shit!
You fucking ho dunk, po dunk, well then there,
Motherfuckers! All you have to do is give me the goddamn key! Then we could get on with our lives. All right, this property is hereby condemned.
Need a hand?
Give me the key, breaker, for crying out loud. All you have to do is say yes. Do we have a deal? Something tells me you don't trust me. That's all right. We'll work on that.
Suck this one down, Uncle Willie. Long, hard one. Nothing gets you fucked up faster. Am I right, guys?
Hello. I'm your waiter, Skip. Our special today is a lovely poached appendage. Market price, of course. For starters, I recommend the finger food. Want your arm back, Irene? I can make it happen. Is that a yes?
No, that's me giving you the finger, asshole.
I'll get back to you. Mr. Roach, what have you got there?
I want out of here. And I'm looking to cut a deal.
Well, let's talk about it.
How do I know you ain't gonna kill me?
You have my word. I mean, frankly, we've been counting on you, haven't we? The world needs more people like you, Mr. Roach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course, you don't mind if we kill the others, do you?
Hey, if it makes you feel good, do it.
It makes you feel good, do it. Exactly. First things first, of course. The blood seal.
Listen, on a personal note, be sure and kill Breaker. He's a bossy asshole.
Isn't he, though? Thank you.
That's it?
Ooh, that's it.
You know, you ain't such a bad fella.
You ain't so bad yourself. Oh, pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Roach.
Well, you know this hell on earth business? Big fucking deal. I got hemorrhoids. Vaya con Dios.
And a vaya con diablos to you too, sir. Oh, Roach, there's just one more thing I forgot to mention. I lied. Anybody home? Come on out, everybody! It's time to play! Hello! This is a special day for me, Geraldine. I waited a long time for this promotion, and I have to tell you, you know, I'm glad that it's you who could share it with me. I'm gonna say something to you I haven't said to anyone. Geraldine, I you. Geraldine, you. Geraldine, do you think you could ever find it in your heart to possibly me? Didn't think so. All right, let's. Fuck it.
He's looking at you, Uncle